Okay, so I've decided to start a YouTube channel based on my letter campaign. I've been prompted, this will be a record of all my letter writing campaigns. I've been prompted to start this YouTube channel because of a certain BBC decision not to air the Disaster Emergency Committee's charity appeal. The reason being, BBC say that it would jeopardise their impartiality. So I'll read out this letter which I'm going to send to the BBC, and I will have the text of it on the description box, whichever side it's on. I'm not quite sure at the moment. So here goes. Oh, also, if you want to make an appeal to the Gaza Disaster Emergency Committee's appeal, you can do so at Disaster Emergency Committee Gaza Crisis, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. The information will be on the description box. So this is the letter that I've written to the BBC. Dear BBC Director General Mark Thompson, I would like to express my strong objection and disapproval of your decision not to air the DEC charity appeal in aid of the children and civilians of Gaza who are now suffering. You will not air this appeal because you believe it would jeopardize the impartiality of the BBC. At best, your decision is irrational, and at worst, it is politically motivated. The BBC, like any other broadcaster, airs materials containing a wide spectrum of subject matter to inform and entertain, often teetering on glorifying violence and whatever else. This does not mean that the BBC approves of or disapproves or endorses particular opinions, lifestyles or actions portrayed in the materials broadcasted. The BBC simply caters for a wide spectrum of audiences and tastes. When it comes to news, everyone appreciates that the BBC must not just be impartial, it must also appear to be impartial in setting the news agenda and reporting the news. The BBC cannot be seen to be taking sides. But as mentioned already, the BBC does not just broadcast news, and nobody is asking you to interrupt your news schedule and broadcast this appeal. The aftermath of the attack on Gaza is beyond politics or taking sides. It is about the humanitarian needs of a people. If there are thousands of people in need of medical assistance and shelter, which you have reported to be true, how can you say it would jeopardize the BBC's impartiality if it were to air an appeal to reduce this suffering? In essence, it will not air an appeal because the news surrounding the appeal is by its nature, and not the way it was reported, is critical of Israel. Let's suppose for a moment that we lived in a world where the BBC had a monopoly on broadcasting. The only way for the charity appeal to reach the public was the BBC. Would you not air the appeal because it would jeopardize your impartiality? Now let's suppose the BBC is one broadcaster out of many, and the BBC is the only one, or a small minority of broadcasters, that refused to air the charity appeal. In this case, clearly you would appear to be completely out of touch, lacking judgment, and at worst acting under a political master. You cannot say as a matter of principle this charity appeal cannot be aired on the BBC. The BBC is not just a news broadcaster. However, in either of the above scenarios, you can decline to air the appeal on the ground of impartiality if the charity appeal is anything other than a charity appeal, i.e., the appeal is designed to achieve certain political aims. This clearly is not the case. There has been protests by the public and a petition by 100 MPs against your decision. You are beginning to look silly. I loathe this decision as I would loathe to see a day when the BBC bans a screening of Schindler's List on the ground of impartiality. The charity appeal is stating a truth. that children are hurt and in distress. They need our help. What's wrong with reporting this truth? Come on, BBC. May the BBC continue to report news and current affairs impartially, even if the news event is critical of some person or state. So that's the end of my letter. If you decide to write a letter or start a letter campaign, why not do the same? Write your letter, make a video about it, and post it on YouTube. Thank you for watching.